In 2020, Roman Reigns started as
the big dog
and finished as
raising
and the tribal chief. In our last episode, we went back to January of 2020 and took you through Roman's unexpected business-changing return at SummerSlam of 2020. And today, we're going to pick up with the Smackdown after SummerSlam, where Roman forms a dangerous alliance and stakes his claim as the tribal chief. It's time to rewind the Bloodline. Teddy, Roman Reigns shocked the wrestling world, returning at SummerSlam 2020 after roughly 6 full months away from everything.
Yeah, we start this show with the package of Roman wrecking everyone and leaving, literally, at SummerSlam. So Adam Pearce comes out and he's telling security that Roman, The Fiend, and Braun Strowman are all in the building and security needs to be on guard.
And the chairman of the board is here.
No chance.
Vince calls out Pearce for being nervous and intimidated and gives Pearce a mission.
A mission for you, should you decide to accept.
Vince says,
Big dog's back.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
He says that they're signing a triple threat for this Sunday at Payback. This is like 5 days after SummerSlam. So Vince tells Pearce
You might want to start with The Fiend.
and if he's not there, go to Bray. That popped me. So he hands Pearce the covered suit hanger, and Vince tells Pearce to
say hello to Oscars. I love that guy.
I like that he's at least in on the joke here with that one. I mean, that is a little endearing. I like this segment a lot. 2020's Vince isn't any good, but here I didn't mind it. I didn't. So we cut to the Firefly Funhouse segment, and Bray has the belt, and he says, Roman, it's been a long time. Great to see you again. And then Postman Pierce shows up. And dude, I actually love this. I did. We get some spooky stuff. There's some Fiend signs spliced in there. And Bray signs the contract and goes, haha, I guess I just signed a couple of death warrants. So we come back to another flashback later on of the Fiend winning the belt and Roman coming back, and Cole is just screaming about adding the big dog to the mix, and Graves seconds it, of course. And then after and tell me we're in 2020 without telling me we're in 2020, a Lucha House Party match, Adam Pearce goes to Vince and says that he has 2 signatures and not 3. And Vince said a lot of words and all I heard was grumbling. So Pierce finds Roman and he is so relieved. He hands him the contract. Roman takes it, says he needs to look it over. And then we cut from this to a Heavy Machinery and Big E versus the Miz, Morrison, and Sheamus match. Good God, man.
So after Big E wins with the big ending, we cut to the back and Roman says, I will be at Payback on Sunday. That is a promise. I will win the triple threat match, wreck everyone, and leave. That is a guarantee. And I will win back my Universal Championship that I never lost in the first place. That is not just a prediction.
That's a spoiler. Believe.
Dude.
What a moment.
I literally remember seeing that on Twitter, like right as it happened. And I was like, I have to come back to WWE now. Like that moment right there is what got me interested in watching WWE like legitly again.
What's crazy about it is that it was making a lot of like social media rounds, but it didn't spike ratings right away the way that you thought that it would have.
Right.
However, for once in his life, Vince does deserve credit here for showing actual restraint and trust. So you think about when Heyman was in charge of creative for the couple of weeks or whatever that was in the late 2010s, and he starts immediately pushing guys like Bobby Lashley, Aleister Black, and the whole story was be patient, 18 months, and these guys were getting 3 weeks, and then, they're losing to the Miz or whatever. The fact that it didn't spike right away and then they stayed the course is a testament to Vince, who would have been the guy that was in charge of creative at the time.
Right.
So what I love about this is that Paul is looking at Roman. When they pan over to him, he's looking at Roman the way that I look at Mrs. Mongoose whenever she tells me we're getting a babysitter for the weekend, man. Like, he is just starstruck, man. He's so in love. And it's so great too that Roman threw that little quip in there because it's a subtle reminder to everybody that he never lost that belt. So he relinquished it in October 2018 whenever he announced to all of us that he had leukemia and that he was going to have to take some time away to recover from that.
And I will win back my Universal.
So we move on to only 2 days later, and we are now at WWE Payback 2020.
It's still blowing my mind that this show is happening a week after SummerSlam. So much happened in the WWE in like this 7-day period.
Yeah, you're right. And it's really weird for the time, and on the rewatch, I should say, rewatching and seeing highlights from a pay-per-view that occurred the week before without it being this like all in, all out kind of situation where we know it's coming. I was as surprised as you are to see that we had back-to-back pay-per-views, PLEs, whatever you like to call them. But this was actually the first time since 1991, which was the Survivor Series and then the Tuesday in Texas, that the WWE did 2 pay-per-views that were this close to each other. And so we start the show. We have Cole and Graves cutting to Roman, aligning with Heyman at the end of Smackdown. We then go to Kayla, which her and Heyman are gold together, man. I cannot wait to walk down this Kayla and Heyman road as we go through this all. So she asks Paul how he squirreled his way into managing the soon-to-be champ. And he responds, "Do you write your own material? I guess Charlie wasn't available to ask questions this evening." And so Kayla wants to know if Roman is signing the contract. He still hasn't. And Paul says to ask Roman. Kayla asked if she could speak with Roman, and Paul says she can't. And I loved it, man. I thought this was an excellent segment.
Later in the show, Kayla finds Heyman. He asks if Roman has signed. Heyman said Roman is only fulfilling what he said on SmackDown, and you can believe that and believe him.
So it's main event time, and we have Strowman versus The Fiend versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. And the match hasn't even started yet, and the announcers have probably called Roman Reigns the big dog 5 or 6 different times on this show already. Like, stop trying to make fetch happen is where I am with this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's exhausting at this point. And then like they're doing the entrances, and of course Strowman would attack the Fiend like during the entrance, and the Fiend cuts Braun off and he hits his sister Abigail.
I wouldn't have expected anything else here.
Right.
Yeah, cut off at the entrance, hit a finisher on the outside. We are right on brand so far.
And like all of this is going on between these two, and like all I can think about is like, where is Roman?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Dude, I just saw him in the back. You know, he's here. Unfortunately, though, we're getting Fiend versus Braun Volume 4 or whatever it is at this point.
So we are 10 minutes into this match, and it's just the Fiend and Strowman beating on each other. And this is a triple threat match. We're 10 minutes in. Where is Roman? Wyatt, and then the other thing, too, that was interesting about this is that Wyatt was sitting on the apron at one point, just doing Mankind screams. And I couldn't stop laughing because I was like, dude, where is Roman right now? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, and I do like the little like Mankind tributes that he did, including the claw, including those sitting and screaming. When I was 11 or whatever and first saw Mankind come in and squeal and rip his hair out, I was like, what is going on here? How is this guy employed? Not knowing that it was actually Cactus Jack, because I was, you know, those times. But yeah, man, it's fascinating that they are the long game here is we're saving Roman. We want Roman to make an entrance and to be a thing. And in the meantime, we're building the Fiend. And oh man, on the rewatch, this is tough.
And the other thing that's tough is the neck crack spot. I hate a neck crack spot. It's not believable. We need to eradicate it. We need to get rid of it in wrestling.
Well, because you're killing a man,
right?
But not killing him,
right?
I never minded. I wish that he did it more, actually. I never minded the Penta arm breaker because people would sell that they couldn't move their arm anymore.
Right.
I know that their arm isn't broken, but when you sell your arm then for the rest of the match or only have one arm, it's a really cool spot. When I go to essentially sever your spine, like whatever, and then you're getting up and you're doing the brawn train spot around the ring 5 minutes later.
So, but the other thing too about the ringside area in the Thunderdome, it was like it literally felt like they were fighting in a solar field.
Yeah, it's different, man. It really is.
Yeah.
So they're brawling all over. Bray hits a superplex and the ring implodes.
I literally wrote, of course the ring would break. Of course.
Right. What I loved here, though, is Little Nate takes the most ridiculous bump you've ever seen, dude. He leans into that rope and sends himself into orbit. And it's so contrived and so bad that they literally, in the preview packages week after week after this, they had to stop it or cut it because he literally just launched himself into the third row of screens.
So Roman's music now hits, and I went, oh God, no. It was the big dog. And literally Michael Cole said that.
Here comes the big dog.
And Roman comes right down with Heyman. He signs that contract on the ramp to make it officially a triple threat match. He's carrying a chair just like he did at SummerSlam the week prior. He was going to beat down everybody, but he puts the chair down.
He gets near falls on both guys. And then Roman picks up the chair and hits Strowman with about 5 chair shots.
So Roman yelling at the ref, I thought was kind of cool, but I just hated the repeated pins. Like, just go for the kill. I don't understand that logic. And Strowman ate literally what you said. He ate so many chair shots. I was just like beside myself wondering why is everyone kicking out, especially to these chair shots?
Right. And our last near fall is after Roman hits that big battery. Fiend then goes for a mandible claw on Roman. But even movie villains, which is what he is at this point in time, the Fiend is Michael Myers, the Fiend is Ghostface, the Fiend is Freddy Krueger, he's all these things. Even they are susceptible to low blows.
So Roman tosses the Fiend out, he hits the spear on Strowman, and the reigns begins.
Yeah, so now we are at the September 4th, 2020 episode of Smackdown, and we start this thing off with what is absolutely an all-time Heyman promo.
Yes, and we'll get to that, but first, like, as Roman was making his way down to the ring, he definitely looked different. But the way that he had a swagger now, he just had this swagger to himself as he was walking to the ring. That was just different.
And Paul and Roman are in the center of the ring, and Heyman tells us not to say that he corrupted Roman because Roman
Corrupting me.
This was so great. Heyman speaking for Roman was literal genius. And Paul says that he was thrown to the sharks and Roman brought him to the
Island of Relevancy.
first time we get that reference.
I loved it. And then hearing in that context, save me from the Ocean of Obscurity and brought me to the Island of Relevancy. Like, dude, this is good stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that he says they did the same thing to him
That they did to me.
happened to the thank yous and the appreciation from the executives. Through a life-threatening illness, no one said thank you despite him over-delivering.
And Roman, as Heyman is over his shoulder, Roman has this 1,000-yard stare right into the camera that was so intense. Like, you could feel the intensity coming off of him. Like, this was so good.
And it sort of gave the feeling that Paul was saying Roman's words,
Yes.
which is not speaking for him because he can't talk, but speaking for him, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
Thank you.
So Paul continues on, a fiend is not born to reign.
Does fiendish things.
A monster is not born to reign. It does.
Monster does monstrous things.
Roman's reign as your champion has always been built on, and it's mongoose bumps time here, man. Like,
family, tradition, legacy, and the accountability.
owning one's actions as your champion. And then he finishes out, this reign will be bigger, badder, and more sensational and more spectacular than anything that's come before it.
Heyman was cooking. That is why the title of this episode is the mission statement, because this mission statement was incredible. I didn't remember this when it happened, but holy cow, was Heyman cooking here. Heyman announces a fatal four-way to determine the number one contender for the Clash of Champions.
And I love it because his rationale was that because Roman's reign was going to be better than everybody's, Raw's doing a triple threat, so SmackDown will do a four-way because we're always going to do it better. Then he says that the winner will only be a sacrificial lamb at the Clash of Champions.
That actually is a really cool callback to whenever Heyman was the GM of SmackDown back in the Ruthless Aggression era, too, because they kept always the Battle of the Brands, keeping it alive here.
Yeah, I did. That one went over my head. That's a cool pull. So the names of the challengers do not deserve to be spoken by Roman and Paul, according to Paul. And he'll leave that up to
Anderson Cooper and Carmella's latest boyfriend.
dude, I died at that line.
So Heyman finishes with, I'm going to tell you this one time, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I serve as
special counsel to the tribal chief,
your reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight champion, Roman Reigns. And that was the first time we get a tribal chief reference. That's the first time we get the introduction. Let us know in the comments what you thought about this promo, because this has to be one of the best promos of the 2000s.
Yeah, it's of this century, literally. It is that good, man. So Roman takes the microphone and says,
I'm a man of my word.
I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I signed the contract. I wrecked the Fiend. I wrecked the Monster, and I left as the Universal Champion. And he says he doesn't care who he faces at Clash. Bring them to him and watch them all get slaughtered, because this is
My island.
And he says, when you have that kind of power, all you got to do
Is show up and win.
believe that. And so here's a really cool nugget. The Observer reported that the plans for this Roman and Heyman dynamic were to make it as different from Heyman and Lesnar as possible. So basically, everybody knew that Brock and Paul were friends. Like, Brock would pop for Heyman's promos, like on screen, he's smiling. Brock would kill everybody. Paul would talk, and you could tell that Brock authentically enjoyed the man. Yeah. And their relationship literally started in 2002. It was not a secret. They've been together forever. And so it was this true like buddy aura. Mm-hmm. With the Reigns and Heyman dynamic, the idea was that Paul was broken and done. And then Roman brought him back. So now Paul is indebted to Roman for saving him. This is why he's always so deferential. And at times it's almost obnoxious with how submissive he is to Roman. And it's because he is trying to give to us the feelings of gratitude and debt that he owes Roman for taking him from the Ocean of Obscurity and bringing him to the Island of Relevancy.
I didn't even think of it that way. That's really good. That's a great nugget that you found there.
Dude, and if you think about it, to then put it into context, it makes perfect sense. It really does.
It really does. No, that's perfect.
And Heyman, dude, he's the ace. He's the best at this, dude. He really is. Literally. So we get back to the show, and we're told that tonight it's Sheamus versus Big E versus Riddle versus King Corbin in a fatal four-way to earn a shot at Clash of Champions.
So backstage, Jey Uso daps up Roman and tells him that he's made the whole family proud. He tells Roman that he's been calling and texting him all week, and Jey has an incredible tan here, number one.
It looks so good.
Oh, it really does. And Jey asks, what's the deal with Paul Lee? If he trusts him after all that he put Roman through. And I love that we're not ignoring what has happened the last couple of years. Like, we're actually embracing the fact that like Roman has been getting screwed over by Paul Heyman, and now he's literally his wise man.
Yeah, you think about it, man. Roman and Brock was the feud, whether we wanted it or not, for years. And it was always Paul being the champion for Brock. And now the tables have turned. I thought that was a cool callback.
It is. So Roman tells,
I got it all under control. Trust me, it's going to be beautiful.
and Jey says that if Roman ever needs someone to watch his back, he's his man. Roman gives the nod and walks off. Jey asks,
Well, let's get a steak after the show then.
that popped me. Like, Jey has a lot of good one-liners here.
He does. And it's insane to see him coming into his own this early.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of people. Britt Baker is a great example that sort of flounder and then find their footing.
Mm-hmm.
He went from tag guy to singles like this and immediately found it. It's nuts, man. So we go backstage and Sheamus just absolutely kills Big E. Big E just wanted to eat some cake, man. That's all he was doing. And he knocks the cake out of his hand, beats him down, hits him with a white noise onto a car. So we go backstage and Adam Pearce tells Kayla that Big E's out, but the Fatal 4-Way will still take place. Uncle Paul then grabs Pearce and the two of them walk off the camera. And then we're told right before the main event that Jey Uso will be joining the field and replacing Big E tonight. So we go from a segment where Morrison is about to eat Otis's sandwich
God.
to our first Bloodline locker room segment. Like, wow.
Right. So Roman is backstage and Jey walks into the locker room. Jey thanks Roman for putting him in the match, and Roman says that it was actually Paul and that it's about time Jey gets some respect. Jey says it would be cool if they could turn up at Clash of Champions, and Roman tells him he knows Jey's brother could win, but it's time for Jey to win one himself, and he wishes him luck. So it is now time for the Fatal 4-Way.
Jey comes out and he looks mint here. I don't know if it's just the tan or if it's the black and gold gear or a combo of both, but this dude looks like the dude that's going to win. Like, I wish that I could put myself back to 2020 to see what my impression of him would have been. I wasn't going to be watching Smackdown on Friday nights in 2020 whenever this first happened.
Right.
But he looks like a superstar.
Does. And so Jey ends up getting tossed into the second row of TVs by Corbin. Then we get Corbin going for the end of days, countered into a bro kick by Sheamus, into a bro to sleep, and then a floating bro by Riddle to Corbin. And then Jey flies in with the Uso splash and gets the win. This match was awesome. And it's set up with Jey being tossed only to come back in. And the way that like the camera caught that finish, it was excellent. It was such good camera work here.
Yeah, and Jey and Roman is set for the clash. Go back to what you just said. This was part of the, and look, man, good production still does that today, but this was part of the magic of that Thunderdome era, is that they could just put cameras anywhere and everywhere and nobody would see them. You know what I'm saying? So it was maximized here, this 1,000%. So Kayla's in the ring and asks how important the win was for Jey. And Jey gives a, yes, sir.
Big dog, I made the family proud.
Then he tells Raymond that it's locked down and welcome to, and you know the rest. And dude, I wonder if he seriously forgot what to say here.
You know the rest.
He was so jacked that I think that he authentically forgot what his own catchphrase was.
Right. And he had to just roll out of the ring before he said something just really insane on national television.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's so funny is that he said, but he said it and you know the rest. And the funny thing is we did know the rest. Yeah. Welcome to the Uso Penitentiary. Like, okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, it ended up working, man. So what do you think about the fallout of Roman's return here, brother?
This fallout was, I mean, the mission statement is what stood out to me. Like, this promo by Heyman with Roman was, I did not remember this. I remember like them leaning and, you know, the way that you got to find somebody that looks at you the way that Heyman looked at Roman, because he was looking at him with love in his eyes. He's got lust in his eyes, pal. And it was so good. Just so good.
Not to, so I'm not going to double up your answer because your answer is the right one. But I was blown away at how main event
Yeah.
Jey Uso looked here.
You really did.
It's incredible. And this is going to be a really fun ride. And I can't wait to keep on going, man.
Yes, this is where we are going to leave you for part 2, and we're going to pick up with part 3 on this little run that we get here to Clash of Champions, where it's going to be Jey and Roman for the title, and it's really good. It's been a lot of fun to go back and watch it. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and let us know what you think all this mission statement worked. Did you like it? Did you think it was as good as we do? Do you think that Jey is as main event as he is currently? You can see the seeds being planted here with it. And let us know in the comments, man, because this is a lot of fun. I'm Johnny Bake Show.
I'm Teddy Mongoose.
And we just called it in the ring.